Hello again, everyone, and welcome to another edition of Issues and Attitudes on WEIU. I'm Rob Calhoun from the EIU Morning Mix on Hit Mix Radio. I'm filling in for Jeff Owens, who is in Maryland with his son's 12-year-old baseball team for Matt Toon at the Cal Ripken World Series. Today's guest will be Bill Lair and Carolyn Cloyd. We're going to be talking about Run for the Fallen, and welcome.
Yep. Thank you, Rob. We appreciate it. Glad to be here.
What is Run for the Fallen?
Well, Run for the Fallen is an effort to honor the military men and women who have died in Iraq and Afghanistan. And the event that we have here in Charleston is to honor all of the soldiers, sailors, Marines, and airmen from Illinois who have died over there.
And how did Run for the Fallen originate?
It's actually a national event, and there was a gentleman who lost a friend in the War on Terror, and he decided to run from California to Arlington Cemetery in order to honor his friend, and along the way he was planting a flag every mile for each of the military members who had died, and he's decided to make it an annual event. And he contacted Vivian Bales, who's one of the co-sponsors of the event, and asked her about creating one here in Illinois to specifically honor the Illinois military.
And that's how the event got started here in Charleston?
Yes.
Yes. And we started in 2010 was our first one. The first one nationally was 2008. And we started ours in 2010.
And when will the event take place?
It is Saturday at the Charleston High School track, and it's at 7 a.m. to 1 p.m. You can come out and you can run or walk, just a mile for each military person you're walking for, and you can come at any time during those hours, 7 a.m. and 11 p.m. or 1 p.m. Sorry.
It's called Run for the Fallen, but most of the people who participate walk.
This year we're going to have the Matt Toon High School JROTC drill team. They're called the Gladiators, and they will be coming out and drilling for everyone, and then they will be also walking during the event. That's at 8:30. At 9:30, the VFW Post 1592 Honor Guard will be out, and they will be doing their, what do they call their ceremony?
It's a memorial ceremony.
So it'll be a 21-gun salute, and they'll be playing taps, and that's at 9:30.
9:30.
And then Vivian has a very nice addition to the event. So.
Yes, my son Brian is a local soldier here from Charleston. He did 4 years active duty down in Texas at Fort Hood. And he's at home now, so he's going to actually on this day walk the entire day from 7 to 1. He'll be on the track in full gear with all his combat uniform and the rucksack and all of that. And he's going to be walking in memory to honor soldiers from his unit that they lost over in Iraq.
And how important is this event?
Well, I think it's very important that we don't forget the sacrifices that so many people have made, and that we don't forget the families who are still there and grieving, I'm sure, whether their son or daughter died this year or 5 years ago or 8 years ago. Sometimes I think right now we get so wrapped up in the economy, maybe the elections, the Olympics, people don't think about we still have people over in Iraq and Afghanistan, and that we're still losing soldiers, Marines, sailors, airmen. Since we had this event last year, we've lost about 15 people from Illinois in Iraq and Afghanistan. So people are still dying, people are still giving their all for their country, and we want to keep remembering that.
Now, someone doesn't have to know somebody to be able to participate in the event. Bill showed me some cards, which I thought were excellent. And could you tell us a little bit about those?
These are cards that we've made up. There's a card for each soldier, and it gives kind of background information. It has their name, their branch of service, their hometown, their age, what unit they were with, and also a picture of them. And then it gives a little background information about what kind of person they were, maybe what they did in high school in sports, or we have quotes from teachers or fellow soldiers or maybe their commanding officer, just so that the people walking for them really get an idea of who that person was.
And how does a person register for the event, and how much will it cost?
It is a free event. Bill was just saying that there is no cost for this. This is solely to honor these people who have died on our behalf, serving our country. And all you have to do is come out and do your walk, do your run. But you go to the Charleston Park and Rec website, and there's a registration form which you can fill out and drop off at the Charleston Park and Rec Department. You can also just come out that day even if you haven't registered. We want to make sure people know that they can come out and walk even if they haven't registered.
We'll have registration forms on Saturday morning, and each year that we've had it, we've had a lot of people who just come out and register that day. So that's perfectly all right. Rob, if you don't mind, I'd like to just say one thing about these cards and about having the information there. The first year we had this, I ran for a young man from Arcola who died, a young man named Alan Roberts, and I studied his picture on the card, I read his information, and it just felt like when I went around the track that he was there with me, that he went around the track with me, that it wasn't just a number. I got to know a little bit about him, and it was very personal to have that, and I think that's one thing that we've seen. People who do this, I think they approach it with a proper attitude of respect and honor for the people who have died. I can also remember one family, mother, father, and 2 kids. They sat down in the grass. They each had a different card. They sat down in the grass before they went out and read the information on the card to each other, who their soldier was, where he was from, how old he is, and a little bit about him. And they all just kind of got to see who each other had. And things like that were really have really been touching, and we've seen a lot of those kind of situations from participants.
I think that people need to realize, too, the supreme sacrifice that these soldiers made for our country, giving their lives, defending our freedom, and that's something that everybody really needs to take into this as well, I would think.
We're very blessed here in not having had war, in our homes, in our towns. But we do need to remember that there are these families that have made the ultimate sacrifice. They're living every day with the loss of their child or brother or their friend. And maybe it's not hitting home for us, but it is for them. And I think they need to know that we know it and we remember.
Does someone need to be from Coles County to be able to participate in this?
No, we welcome anybody. We even have some people registered from Indianapolis. We've had people from Kentucky. So, we get a good mix of people from all over the state of Illinois.
Yeah, we've had, last year we had a family from Staunton down by St. Louis, and they're coming back this year. They lost a soldier, and they're coming back. Carolyn, you've had contact with a family in DuQuoin that's coming?
The first year I walked, Bill and Vivian had said there was a father had called and said they couldn't make it to the run, but they wanted to make sure their son was represented. So I said, well, I'd like to walk for him. So I had a shirt made up with his name and had pictures taken and had contact with him after the walk to let him know. And we've stayed in contact, and they're actually coming this year, and they're going to walk with me. So
we've all had phone calls. I had a phone call from a man in Springfield whose son died, and he and his daughter are coming to run, and Vivian and Carolyn have had experiences like we have. Maybe 12 or 15 families from outside of the Charleston-Mattoon area who are coming to run or walk for a family member who's died.
I was thinking about the types of shoes that are allowed on the track, and do you know what kind of shoes they will allow?
Well, I'm sure nothing with spikes, but I think most people just come out with any kind of a canvas shoe. I don't know if
tennis
people have
shoes,
come with hard shoes.
I think I've seen people with sandals walking.
Yeah. And I think one thing that we also want to say is the cooperation we get from the school district to allow us to be out there on the track and on the football field. We've had so much cooperation from the city and the school district and just a lot of different people to, we kind of do some of the legwork, but some other people are very supportive of this event.
Is there a minimum distance that people need to go, or can they go just as far as they feel comfortable doing so?
Well, we ask that they do a mile, which is 4 times around the high school track. But we found a lot of people, once they do that mile, they're very moved by that, and they want to do another mile. So they can do as many as they want. We'll give them a new soldier each time. So you're welcome to do from 1 mile to however many you want to do.
But I'm sorry, but if somebody really could just make it once around the track, that would be okay. It is just the act of honoring these people.
Do you need any volunteers to help out at the event?
I think we'd always welcome anybody that wants to come out and help with like a registration, maybe handing out bottled water. We do provide free water for people that participate. And because we have so many people that come out and register that morning, we could probably use some more volunteers. On the Charleston Rec Department website, it's charlestonillinois.org. Vivian's phone number and my phone number are on there, and people can contact either one of us. I think one other thing I'd like to say about people who come out, they get this card with the picture and biographical information, and they keep that card. They don't give that back. They can hang on to that. We also give them a small American flag, and so you take the card and the flag and go around the track a mile, and then when you're done, you put the flag in the south end zone of the football field, and there's also the big victory bell that the Charleston football team rings when they win the game. Each person, when they complete their mile, rings the bell. And so last year we had more than 600 people come out and participate. So you hear that bell ring 600 times in those 6 hours. That's 100 times an hour. That's more than 1 a minute. And, it's just, I think, very emotional, and it's a great feeling to hear that go off. And so people are, and it's also nice to see more than 600 American flags in that south end zone by the end of the day, too. Mm-hmm.
Is there a certain time where people need to come, or if there's certain times that are better than others when it's going to be less crowded out there or on the track or anything?
I don't think really. Just whatever works for people. If they want, obviously, to see the JROTC group, or if they want to see the VFW ceremony, obviously they'd have to come at those times. Some people come out and stay all day, or, for the whole event. They'll keep walking. Like Vivian said, a lot of people do their mile, and then they're like, well, I want another one. I want to walk for somebody else. So,
what inspired you to be a part of this event?
For me, it was my son. He joined the Army soon after high school, and so I quickly was welcomed into the world of being a military mom. And it was probably less than a year when he left for his first deployment to Iraq, and it was just a very difficult time for me. And so I'm a runner, so I decided to run. Initially, I was going to run from Charleston, Illinois to Kirkuk, Iraq, where he was stationed, and kind of decided to run this 6,000 miles.
You were going to run figuratively, not literally. Okay, we better make that clear.
So I made it about 1,000 miles, Bill, that year. But just people from all over the country responded to that. They wanted to send me miles. They would do miles and email me and contribute to that. So I really saw how much, the United States as a whole, I had 46 states running with me to support Brian, and as we called it, to bring Brian home, and 6 countries as well. So that really moved me, and I kind of developed that passion at that time to help other families and help other mothers and, people who are going through the same thing, and support them. And I think this is just one way that we can do that.
I also have a son who served in Iraq, and I'm very thankful that he made it back home and we were able to celebrate his return. But I know there's a lot of parents who did not get to celebrate like that, and I think, like Vivian said, it was a very hard time when your loved one is deployed, and I think you kind of understand what other parents are feeling, and you'd like to help out in any way you can.
What can somebody expect when they're participating in this? I mean, you talked about the warm feeling that you have inside. Anything else that people have really talked about whenever they participated?
That's a good question. I don't know that we can answer for everybody, but it's just like I mentioned before, that family of 4 people sitting down and going over the information on their cards, and I felt like that young man was going around the track with me. I can remember the first year, a lady, after she finished her mile, she asked if we wanted the card back, and there were teardrops on the card, and things like that. Just I don't know that everybody gets that same or those same kinds of emotions and feelings. I'm sure it's different for everybody, but I think the one thing that strikes me is, whether it's an individual, whether it's a family member of someone who's died, or families that come out, the respect and the honor that everybody shows, I think, is really apparent, and it's really nice to see how people approach this, and the respect they seem to have for the military people. And I think I mentioned we had more than 600 people each of the first 2 years come out, so it's been very rewarding for us to see that kind of response.
And you talked the event is this Saturday, by the way. We're talking about Run for the Fallen. It's going to be at Charleston High School from 7 a.m. until 1 p.m. on Saturday, and want to encourage everyone to come out and participate in this event. Can you talk once again about what people need to do to be in this event?
They just need to show up, really. They can register there, they can register before, but really just showing up is really all they need to do. That's what it's about, to honor these people, and they can just do that by being there.
Yeah, they can still register this week on the rec department, through the rec department website. Vivian picks those registration forms up each day from the rec department. And the main reason we like to have them ahead of time is if there's a specific soldier you want to run for, we want to make sure that there are enough cards for each person. We've had maybe 15 or 20 people that wanted to run for one soldier, and we only make up 2 or 3 cards for each person unless we know ahead of time that there's going to be 15 who want to run for this particular person. So it helps to have advance registration if you want to run or walk for a specific soldier.
In order to get a card, I mean, you could still walk for that
Sure.
person, but...
And the costs that were associated with this, were there any businesses or individuals that helped out with help offsetting the cost of the event?
I don't think we really asked, did we? I mean, it's...
No, I think the help that we've gotten, and it's, when we first thought we would do this and approach the school district about doing it, it was their suggestion that we go through the Charleston Rec Department, because the Rec Department has an agreement with the school district for facilities, so they have insurance. They have an online registration form that we could use. So, we got that cooperation from the school district and the city. I know it's an election year, but State Senator Dale Ryder has contributed the bottled water all 3 years that we've done this.
But you have to be clear, the event is non-political.
Right.
That is one of the stipulations for the event. It's
Right.
got nothing to do with politics.
Right. So he's contributed the water. Eastern's ROTC program, Ices Down the Water has the big tubs that they bring all the water out on Saturday morning. I'm sure I'm leaving out, the VFW Ladies Auxiliary provided the American flags that we put out there. We don't ask, but people can make a donation. We'll have a donation jar out there, and that helps for the cost of like printing up the cards. We send items to troops that are still serving, and it helps pay for the postage, things like that. I don't know, maybe I'm forgetting something else.
And also, I want to let everyone know that this just isn't an event that's in Charleston. This is a nationwide event. Is that correct?
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah, this weekend is selected by the National Run for the Fallen group as the day that they designate, for anybody to do this that would like to. One other thing we haven't mentioned, I'm not sure exactly what the WEIU coverage area is, but I'm just looking at like maybe around 10 counties around here. There are 24 military people who have died in Iraq and Afghanistan from this area, and I'm looking at St. Joseph in Champaign County, Decatur, Chrisman, Sullivan, Mattoon, Oakland, Arcola, Montrose. There are a number of people from this area, so it has hit in the Charleston, Mattoon area as well as throughout the whole state.
If someone wants some more information about the event, how can they get that?
There is information on the Charleston Parks and Recreation website, which is www.charlestonillinois.org. They can go there, click on the Run for the Fallen button, and they'll get information on there. There's also phone numbers. If they have questions, they can call us or print forms out, fill them out, and bring them that day.
And Run for the Fallen has a website also. I think it's runforthefallen.org, isn't it?
Mm-hmm.
And they can go on that site and get, some other information. Not so much about our event, but just about the nationwide.
It's a nice website. They have actually a short video on there that tells about how the event started, the very first time that they did it. So that's kind of interesting to get that background on there.
I think we're all pleased, Rob. We've had so many calls this year from families of military people who've died. Vivian, you were just saying you got half a dozen calls this weekend from family members of military people who plan to join us this weekend. And I think we're all gratified to see that the families think this is the kind of event that they would like to come and be a part of for their loved ones.
So, in other words, you would like to encourage all ages to come out and participate.
Yes.
That is great that the families come out there and do that. I think it's a great family event as well. Anything else that you would like to add? We have about 7 minutes left.
One thing we haven't talked about is the Charleston High School fall sports teams have come out pretty universally. The coaches bring the teams out on Saturday morning, and they do a mile also. We've had the volleyball team, cross country, football, soccer. They've all participated. The Mattoon National Guard unit has come out. It's been their drill weekend the last 2 years, and they've come out and done their monthly PT out there in the morning. We have this event and then do a mile. This year it's not their drill weekend, but there are about 15 members of the Mattoon National Guard unit that plan to come out and run in honor of some of the people that they know who've served.
And do you think it's going to help the participants any that this is also EIU move-in weekend? And do you get a lot of EIU students that come out?
I don't know. Not really, I don't think.
I don't think there's a lot because it's Saturday morning and they probably aren't a lot aware. We do have the Eastern ROTC group. They usually have a number of people that come out besides helping us set up. One other thing we have new that we didn't talk about is our own kind of wall of honor. Vivian, maybe you could mention that we're going to do.
With all the cards that we put together, we are going to make sort of a wall and have them mounted on foam poster boards and then display them. So, it's nice for everyone to get a card and read about the particular person that you're walking or running for, but there will also be a display of all of the military members. So you can kind of look at that wall and get an overall feel for the number of military personnel from the state of Illinois and kind of learn a little bit about them. You can see, where they're from, just kind of who they were. So it's nice to have a big picture of the whole group.
And I think we're up to 252 in Illinois. So it's quite a number, and we'll have all 252 on display out there on Saturday.
Once again, when is the event and how can people register for the event?
It is Saturday. It's 7 a.m. to 1 p.m. and you can go to the Charleston Park and Rec website, which is charlestonillinois.org, and click on the Run for the Fallen icon. You can register there. You can register at the event, and there's no cost.
And that's important that we want to know. Let people know that they don't have to pay anything. They don't have to go out and get donations. They just come and honor the fallen soldiers.
Correct.
Okay, at this point, we'd like to kind of relax and do Jeff's world famous 8 questions. And I know that Carolyn's over there smiling because she kind of knows what this is about. She's been on here several times. I think Bill has too. We'll just start with Vivian, work our way to the left. What's your favorite thing about Coles County?
Oh, wow. Well, I grew up here in Coles County, so this is just home for me. I actually went to in this building, the Buzzard Lab School. I went through kindergarten through 9th grade here in this building. So it's just kind of a nice history to have.
I always like to let people know that there's actually a swimming pool right below us.
I remember that.
And we did PE. We did swimming and PE.
And Bill?
Favorite thing about Coles County, that's tough to say, although I think having raised a family here, it's just been a great place to raise a family, to have your kids grow up and just feel good about activities that they got to participate in, safety, just lots of different things for families.
And I'm just going to say the people I do like, to me it's not small town. I'm from Arcola, so Mattoon was the big town when I was growing up, but to other people it's small town, and I like the small town atmosphere.
Favorite pizza topping?
Black olives.
Sausage and mushroom.
Cheese.
Have you ever met a celebrity, and if so, who? The most famous one you've met?
That's kind of hard. I've met some in sports just because I used to be the sports editor of the local newspaper. Ferguson Jenkins, who was with the Cubs, Ron Sano, some Jim Hart, who was quarterback for the St. Louis Football Cardinals. I was in an elevator once with Jim Finks, who was the general manager of the Bears. Things like that.
Well, I've never met anybody compared to Bill, so I'm going to say Barack Obama then.
Okay. That's going to do it for this week's Issues and Attitudes. Joining us next week will be Andrew Farron from the Coles County Airport. I'd like to thank Vivian Bales, Bill Lair, and Carolyn Cloyd for joining us, talking about Run for the Fallen. This is Hit Mix 88.9 WEIU.